Hello everyone, this is David Crystal speaking from my home in Holyhead in North Wales. And you've asked me various questions for your conference. Just taking two or three of them now from your list. Basically, one is why study linguistics? Why? Because I think it's the most insightful way of studying language. Thanks to its objective and systematic and comprehensive approach, it gives us ways of talking about language that are precise and internationally recognised. That's very important. And research procedures that are reliable and replicable, allowing us to arrive at conclusions that can be stated with confidence. The findings can then be used by non-linguists for the investigation and solution, hopefully, of a wide range of problems where language plays a part in their daily lives. And that's a process that is a motivation for the field of applied linguistics. It also provides answers to many of the questions about language that are asked out of simple curiosity by people from all walks of life. Questions about child language acquisition, accents and dialects, the names of people and places, and indeed any of the topics that are covered by a syllabus in a school or undergraduate university course. You might sum all this up by saying, as people often do, that linguistics is the science of language. As long as we remember that language here means languages, all 6,000 plus of them. And also don't interpret science to mean that linguistics has no interest in the aesthetic and artistic areas of language use. Seen, for instance, in literary stylistics, you know, the sort of thing, study of language in Shakespeare, all of that. So that's one question. What's this one? Single biggest bit of advice to anyone starting out in linguistics research? Be original. And that means start collecting. Keep a sharp eye and ear open for examples of usage in your own local world and the languages that you encounter there. Your family, friends, school, shops, streets, social media. Or if you go on holiday, if that's still allowed these days, in these pandemic days. Start noticing things and writing them down, or taking a photo of them. It's all so much easier these days with modern technology than when I started out doing exactly that. Most of the sidebars in my encyclopedias began as casual observations. Indeed, once I wrote a whole book in that way. It was called By Hook or by Crook, and its subtitle was A Journey in Search of English. What I did was I wandered around Wales and nearby parts of England and just recorded what I saw and heard. Tourist linguistics, I suppose you might call it. It was an interesting literary exercise too. I mean, normally when I write a book, I have a pretty clear vision of the beginning and the middle and the end. I might even write a synopsis of it in advance to show to a publisher. But with that book, I had no idea when I ended chapter 1, for instance, what was going to happen in chapter 2, because I hadn't been there yet. And so it was for the whole book. Well, you're not writing a book, I don't suppose, but you are going to write essays, do projects, answer exam questions, which cry out for original ideas. There's nothing impresses an examiner more, well, so they tell me, than reading something in an answer that they've never seen before. As long as it's relevant to the question, of course. And one more, perhaps. What do I predict the biggest new developments of language? Well, it has to be English language for me, because that's my field, over the next few decades. It's never possible to predict the future when it comes to language. I mean, who would have thought a year ago that 2020's words of the year were going to be words like self-isolate and lockdown. Or a decade ago that there would be a new suffix in English, exit, based on Brexit, you see, and all the words that have been based on that. These are tiny details, but the same applies to bigger issues. Language reflects society. So any question about the future of language is actually a question about the way society, in the broadest sense, including, politics, economics, religion, culture, and so on, is going to change. Well, I've got no ability to answer that question. All I can say is that the two main trends of the moment are going to continue. Global English, number one. Varieties of global English are going to continue to develop and institutionalize. Now, by that term, I mean people will write dictionaries about them and style manuals, and literary works will be written, poems and plays and novels about that new variety. And new varieties will emerge, continue to emerge, especially in countries which have no colonial history at all of first or second language English speaking, such as Argentina or China or many other countries. And internet technology will continue to grow with largely unpredictable linguistic consequences. Other, I suppose, than the expected growth in oral transmission and improved facilities in speech to text, text to speech, automatic translation. What speech to give to robots? What accent should we give to robots? That sort of thing. And that'll undoubtedly lead to new areas of research interest in teaching as well as research. At the moment, the internet is still in a predominantly graphic medium. We type most of the time, but that will change. Well, there we are. 3 questions from your list, which fills up a piece of video, undoubtedly. I hope you have a great conference.